Stand back, step aside, Mr. Smelly's on your screen, projecting like a missile from an F-16. I'm wearing 50 sprays of the Dolce Gabbana, kinda inappropriate like a McDonald's in Havana. When I hit the nightclub, it's like a fox in a chicken shed. No lady can choose me because it's up to me to pick instead. I know I'm over 40 and I'm losing my hair, but I move on the dance floor like my name is Fred Astaire. Chanel and Dior make way for the boys from Milano. I'm talking about two friends named Domenico and Stefano. When it comes to making fragrances, these boys have got game, but why they discontinue their best stuff, it's a crying shame. My CR circles the globe and then it goes round again. When I'm wearing D&G, then I'll be smelling Mediterranean. Check out the D&G fragrance selection, then open up your nostrils and enjoy my projection. I'm kicking up a stink and they call me Mr. Smelly, so hear what I'm saying on your YouTube telly.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be having a look at some of my favourite fragrances from the house of Dolce & Gabbana. And we're also going to be having a guest appearance from Greg from the Greggieboy76 Fragrance Review channel on YouTube. He is one of my absolute favourite reviewers. He happens to also be from the UK. He's been doing it for many years. Doesn't make as many videos as he used to, but he is still active. His channel is still going. New videos do still come up. And there's a huge archive, if you're just discovering him, of great top 10 first niche fragrances to try. Really useful videos and you know, all kinds of discontinued stuff, really popular stuff. Covers every kind of ground from the cheapest to the most expensive fragrances. Has a huge knowledge, so check out the link to his channel and we'll look forward to his clip, which I'll be inserting a little bit later on his number one favourite from the house of Dolce & Gabbana. But let's talk about my favourites now. So I'm going to pick four out. There are quite a few fragrances from this house, of course, over the years, but it wasn't until 1994 that they started. And let's start off with one that I think is definitely worth a place if you're talking about the best fragrances from Dolce & Gabbana, although it's not right up there with my favourites. Dolce & Gabbana The One. First released in 2008, the perfumer was Olivier Polge, the man who created the very renowned Dior Homme and its subsequent flankers. So a very prestigious perfumer indeed, who now is the main man making perfumes for Chanel. So this one, Dolce & Gabbana The One, is a very nice compromise between sweetness and freshness. The notes in this one are bergamot, coriander, basil, cardamom, ginger, neroli, cedar, ambergris, tobacco, and some places list grapefruit. So the main things you're going to get out of this one is that you do get a nice citrus freshness, but it's very much balanced in equilibrium with a certain sweetness and this kind of fresh tobacco leaf note, which is really enjoyable. It was released just a year before Yves Saint Laurent's La Nuit de l'Homme, and I think both fragrances are part of that trend towards slightly sweeter masculine fragrances, but both of them quite nice in that they still retain a certain sophistication and a sort of masculinity and a little bit of freshness about both of them, perhaps more so in this one, which I think for me puts them a cut above things like Paco Rabanne's 1 Million, which are just very sweet and bubblegummy. So I really like the balance between the freshness. There's a nice, the ginger and the basil, you've got these sort of aromatic, herbal, spicy notes in there as well, and I think this is a really good fragrance to try. I've just got the Eau de Toilette. Most people say the performance is not great. I have to agree. It's not terrible though, it's not as awful as some people say. There is an Eau de Parfum. Most people agree the smell is very, very similar and the performance only slightly better. So either version, probably fine. But I'm happy enough to own the Eau de Toilette, and when I do wear it, I'll just maybe either decant, or if it's out in the daytime, if I've got a bag with me or something, I'll just take it with me and top up. I do think it's a very nice fragrance. Embraces the modern trend towards a little bit more sweetness, but it keeps it rather sophisticated still, as you would hope from the great perfumer Olivier Polge, and that nice twist of the basil and the ginger, a little bit of herbal, spicy kind of stuff, and a nice citrus element with the very much talked about element of the tobacco leaf in this one. So I enjoy this one. It's really nice, but it's not my massive favourite, but it's got to be mentioned when you talk about favourites or best ones from Dolce & Gabbana, I think. Now, I'll mention a couple that I'm not going to put in the list. So I'm not going to include anything from the light blue line, light blue for men, and we've also got light blue intense, and they've just released, I know, which I haven't tried yet, light blue Italian zest for men, which I would like to try that because I like zesty, fresh fragrances. I think they're okay, that line, but they're so similar to so many other light blue coloured juice aquatic type fragrances. So I'm going to mention at least one that would be a preferable pick for me looking for a great citrus fragrance from Dolce & Gabbana. The Intenso version of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme doesn't quite do it for me, nor does Royal Night, the slightly more exotic twist on the one, but I just prefer the original. So let's talk about the ones I actually do like. That's the point of the video after all. So these top three now, there's going to be three more, and you could really split this by, I could toss a coin almost from day to day and say which one's my number 1, 2 and 3. It's so close, but I'm going to go for this one at the number 3 position, Dolce & Gabbana Masculine. So this was released in 1999. The perfumer for this one is Max Gavari, and really this is a citrus aromatic fragrance. It reminds me and some other people online of Dior's Eau Sauvage from 1966. So it's got a very fresh citrus, Italian kind of Mediterranean fruits opening, which is great. And then it's got some herbaceous aromatic elements in it. So it takes a little bit more of its inspiration perhaps from classics like Dior's Eau Sauvage from 1966. And those kind of classic citrusy masculine fragrances where there was this aromatic herbal element, rather than the more modern fresh fragrances like the light blue, where it's very much fresh, crisp and aquatic, which can be nice too, but I find this has a little bit more to it, a little bit more depth, a little bit more guts, and that's why I like it. The notes for this one, you've got petitgrain, bergamot, orange blossom, clary sage, mint, basil, jasmine, caraway, teak wood, fig leaf, musk, vetiver and cedar. So there is a little bit of a masculine undertone with the vetiver and the musk, giving it a little bit of a just very slightly retro feel, but it's very, very fresh, it's very crisp. I actually was wearing a shirt the other day and I picked it up and smelled it again, having worn this. I couldn't remember what I'd worn when that shirt had been worn. I was thinking that's really nice, I was guessing that it might have been either an Acqua di Parma or Creed fragrance, but in fact it was the dry down of Masculine from 1999. Really nice citrus aromatic fragrance with some spiciness and a masculine undertone, but still very fresh and overwhelmingly a citrus fresh kind of scent, but a little bit more guts and sophistication than things like light blue from Dolce & Gabbana for me. So I really love this one. The sad news, of course, if you're wondering why you've never seen it, it's been discontinued for many years. You can pick it up online on eBay if you're lucky, but hang in there and try and get a good deal, because some people are trying to get really high prices for this one. So very unfortunate that one of the real classics for me from Dolce & Gabbana is long discontinued and getting a little bit pricey. But if you do stumble across one for a good price, I really urge people to check that out. So now I think it's time to throw things over to Greg. We're going to do my top 2 favourites, but let's find out what his favourite fragrance from Dolce & Gabbana is now.
Hello guys, Greg here from YouTube channel Greggieboy76. For those of you that don't know me, I've been around for quite a long time now doing fragrance related videos. I don't get the chance to put out anywhere near as many videos as I did 5 or 6 years ago, but I still love the hobby, still enjoy making videos, and it's always nice to get asked to do a collaboration like this one. So thanks to Mr. Smelly for asking me to do this video with him. We do actually share a lot of the same tastes. I think he's an excellent reviewer. He's one of the few reviewers that I make sure I watch every single video he puts out. So thanks again, Mr. Smelly, for asking me to do the video. So the subject of the video is favourite Dolce & Gabbana fragrances. Now, over the years, I've owned pretty much all of the men's releases. I used to wear Dolce & Gabbana Masculine for probably about 2 years straight. I wore that and nothing else, going back years ago before I really got into this hobby. I still own this one, the discontinued By Man. A lot of you will know about this one. You can see how old and bruised and beaten and battered this one is. Excellent fragrance. Still really enjoy that one. But there's one fragrance that stands out for me, and it's really timeless fragrance, and I've owned it and loved it for more than 20 years now, and I still enjoy it as much today as I did back then. And the fragrance is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. And I'm pretty sure this was the first men's release from the house. The bottle that I have here is actually the vintage Italian version. You can see it's got this sticky label on there. It is does look different to the versions that are available in the store, and actually the smell is different. To me, this is superior to the version that you'll get in stores. The good news about that is that this isn't one of those discontinued fragrances where the prices have gone absolutely crazy and you can't find them. That, you know, you will be able to find one of these vintage ones if you look around, and the prices are quite reasonable still. So if you want to get a vintage one, have a look around. But most of you, I think, are probably familiar with the fragrance. But just to tell you a bit about it, it's an aromatic fougere. It's really centered around citrus, lavender and tobacco. It's got quite a few different elements to it. It's mildly spicy. It's very clean and fresh. But one of the key characteristics for me is soapiness. It's a very soapy fragrance to me. Now, I associate this fragrance with memories, really, and the memories I have of this is summer holidays, early summer evening, sort of 7 o'clock in the evening, sitting outside a restaurant, having a meal, still nice and hot, sun still out, and wearing this fragrance. And I've got some great memories of doing that, and I think it's the perfect scenario for this one. It's a very versatile fragrance. There's literally no occasion or sort of climate where it doesn't work. I'd probably say the real heat, this probably one doesn't work, because although it's quite a sort of citrus floral fragrance, it's not an airy, light citrus floral, so it could be a bit cloying in the real heat. Now, I'm trying to think. I can't really think of any negatives at all around this fragrance. It's just, for me, it's just one of the best men's releases ever. And you know, as I said, I never got tired of it. I've worn it for over 20 years, had so many bottles of it, and I still love it. So there you go. That's my favourite Dolce & Gabbana fragrance. Just want to say again, thanks to Dan, Mr. Smelly, for asking me to do the collaboration. I'm looking forward to seeing what your choice is. And thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much to you, Greg. So, well, I think it's inevitable that one's going to be one of my top two, but let's see what they are. A great pick, of course, but let's see what my favourite is. So, well, the number two runner-up for me is going to be one that Greg's already mentioned, and it's By Man from 1997. So, Dolce & Gabbana By Man. One of those real rare whale or unicorn fragrances that people are often really keen to get a bottle of, often when they haven't actually tried it. It's very hard to find, probably even more so than masculine, and the prices are really escalating to above a kind of Creed fragrance price, really niche prices and above for this. Don't go crazy over it. It's very good, but don't go and spend crazy amounts of money blind buying it, but I'll describe it and tell you why it is certainly a very good fragrance. So this one, usually talked about as a barbershop fragrance. Greg's done a barbershop top video where he mentioned it in a bit more depth. There's a great review by Ryan from Rise Frags. So we've got in the notes in this one, a strange kind of note listing that I've got on my tester. It's 3 hediones elixir, no idea, pepper, nutmeg. We've got citrus notes and neroli according to some people. But the bottle here says we've got lymph life scent in here. I do not know what that is. Lavender and artemisia, sandalwood, leather, guaiac wood, ambrox and amber. And some listings also mention walnut. So it's a very predominantly, or at least very noticeably, lavender based scent with a combination of lavender and sandalwood. There's a certain freshness about it, but then it's got this kind of sweet, spicy, woody, somewhat barbershop-esque feel to it. I think if you like things like Jean Paul Gaultier's La Malle, and if you think that's kind of in a barbershop category, this is more that kind of barbershop world than the old 70s or Rive Gauche Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent barbershop shaving foam smells. This is a little bit more sweet and spicy, but it does have that really predominant lavender note and a nice woody element. Leather, I wouldn't really pick up on that particularly, but it's kind of sweet, spicy, yet fresh, and it's got this real unique vibe about it. It's something very special about this smell. Performs rather well as well. Maybe there's a little bit of this citrus element to it. In the opening, some people mention neroli, so sort of citrusy, fresh, spicy, woody, a little bit nutty. Some people say walnut and or nutmeg, both going to give you that. Maybe creamy. I think creamy is a good word for this one. So creamy, smooth, masculine, fresh kind of barbershop smell. A little bit like Jean Paul Gaultier La Malle to me, somewhat, but a rather bit more sophisticated and grown-up version of that one for me. So I do really love By Man, and if I was lucky to find one for a cheap deal in a second-hand shop, I was really, really lucky. If you can pick it up for something not too crazy, maybe someone on a Facebook has grown tired of it and sells it for a quick buck with a reasonable price, it's well worth checking out, and it really is quite fascinating and interesting compared to the things you get on your designer shelves today. So justifiably one with a very great reputation in the fragrance community, but don't go spending ridiculous amounts to buy it if you've never smelled it, but it is good. Now let's move on to my absolute favourite from the house of Dolce & Gabbana. So yes, I am going to agree with Greg. I think Pour Homme from 1994 is really the best thing they've ever released, which is good news because it's easier to get than the last two. You can still buy this one in the modern formulation, and the description that the company gives and a lot of the notes are listed as the same. It's now made, I think, in the UK, although someone said they might be making it in France now. Anyhow, what you really want, if you can get it, is the old version with the sticker on the bottle. Any version with that should be the Euro Italia version made in Italy, which is what you would want, wouldn't you, from a Dolce & Gabbana fragrance. So again, this one has plenty of citrus in it. So some of the notes in this one include, here are all the notes: bergamot, tangerine, orange, lemon, leaves, and then we've got lavender, sage, cardamom, pepper, tonka bean, sandalwood, and musk. So this fragrance has a very, very nice, zingy, fresh citrus opening, but it's perhaps not so much just a citrus aromatic as Dolce & Gabbana Masculine is. This one described as an aromatic fougere, which can be helpful to a limited extent in understanding it, but it's not a barbershop scent to me. It's a fresh, lemony citrus scent with a masculine undertone of woods, sandalwood, maybe vetiver in there too, and this very distinctive tobacco note, which is a little bit reminiscent of the same kind of tobacco note you can smell in Versace's The Dreamer from 1996, which is a couple of years later. Maybe they're using the same chemicals, the same aroma accord there. And it's a little bit of a synthetic kind of accord, but it's very, very pleasant as well at the same time. And I should have mentioned the performance on this one I find to be good, but just good. Some people say it goes on forever and ever and it's really strong. I find it to be just good, certainly not beast mode, but for example, significantly better than The One. So a good performer. So really nice mixture of a lovely citrus freshness, but it's got so much guts and depth to it compared to some of the more aquatic stuff that came out around that time, Acqua di Gio, L'Odyssée, which are great too, but they're very transparent smells. This one has more depth, and that lovely sort of tobacco leaf sweetness is in there too, with some other nice herbal, spicy elements with the cardamom, the sage, the pepper. As Greg said, it is kind of soapy and clean, but it's got something to it. It's got complexity, it's got lovely citrus notes, and it's got depth and that nice tobacco twist. So I think really great for spring, great signature scent really all year round. As Greg said, maybe if it's extremely hot, it's not super transparent, so it's the only time you might feel you want something a little bit lighter, but you can really wear this one all year round as a signature scent. To find it and buy it online, I find that I've managed to buy 4 bottles in the short time that I've been interested in this scent, over 18 months, couple of years since I first bought one. So look out online on eBay. They tend to come up a lot. A lot of this was made, so there are still ones. Anyone with a sticker and you're okay. So Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme from 1994, mine and Greg's favourite from the house. Let me know your favourite fragrances from Dolce & Gabbana. Let me know which ones I've missed out. I'm sure, or whether you disagree with my choices or agree. Any comments that you've got to make will be very welcome. Thanks ever so much for watching. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.